Big Bao, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm loving life, bro. Loving life,
All
you know.
right.
Just here in lockdown, man.
Hey, lockdown is, it's nice, but it's also like, just get me out. Just
Yeah,
get me out already.
finish it
Yeah.
off, right? Finish it
I
off.
know. Doesn't help that we have 4 extra weeks, right?
Bro, it's doing me in. Well, welcome to Talk to Me, bro. Ladies and gents, welcome to Talk to Me, the show where I get my friends to talk to me. Today is a fresh face, someone that a lot of you don't know yet, but you better get to know. His name's Bao.
What's
Bao,
up?
how we doing, brother?
I am bloody fantastic. I am bloody fantastic. Having a great day. Hope you're well too.
Yeah, man, doing well, bro. Thank you so much for deciding to do this with me, man. Jumping on Talk to Me.
That's all right. I've always wanted to. I think we planned this probably before lockdown, didn't we? And we wanted to do it like face to face.
You
But
were
hey, this is it. This is fine. It works well.
If we have to do it like this, we have to do it like this. What are you gonna do,
100%.
mate? You were actually the last person I spoke to before I pulled the trigger on this thing. Do you realize that?
I remember that conversation at the cafe, eh?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
We were talking for like 2 hours or so.
Oh, that
And
was
we
a good chat.
finally decided let's do this thing.
Yeah, that was a really good chat, eh? Well, we hadn't seen each other in like, what, a year and a half?
A year and a half.
Maybe 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, geez, there was a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, bro. Well, I met you at UFC gym. You were one of my PTs for all the ladies and gents at home that want to know how I met Bao. Bro,
That's me.
what brought you there? How'd you run into me and Goose?
Bruce. Oh, man, that guy. No, that was a long time ago. I think that would have been about 3 years ago, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 2019.
Roughly, eh? 2019, almost 18. So I was a trainer at Bankstown for about just over a year, I think. It's been a long time, but yeah, I was at UFC Bankstown. It's honestly, it is a really good gym.
Yeah.
I love the people. I miss the people so much. You guys were like, I don't know. I came into work knowing that you guys were going to be there. I'm like, yeah, it's a good day.
We're gonna annoy you for that morning for sure.
100%. I knew you guys wouldn't be doing like the burpee, so I would have to do it for you. So it's fine. It worked.
We made sure you did as much as we did, bro.
Oh, I mean, right? It makes it even. That's why I was a trainer, right? Because I wanted to be fit as well, as fit as you guys. Yeah. Although I wouldn't do the Everest. You have to do that by yourself.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that has to be fair, right? Yeah. I was there for a little bit, and then decided to move on, and then like we ended up parting ways for a little bit, and then we've reconnected.
Yeah, bro. Well, I always tell the story whenever I tell people about you. When Goose and I joined the gym, we both had a favorite coach.
Yeah.
And then when Goose's coach left the gym, you stuck around. I was like, yes, my coach won the battle, and then you ended up being Goose's favorite coach too.
I am, without sounding like sounding too pretentious, I'm everyone's favorite coach. All right, so let's be real.
I only think that's because of the Marvel and anime talks you had with us afterwards. Though.
If you don't like Marvel, who are you?
That's
like
cool.
Okay, anime, like it's not for everyone. I get that. It's just for Goose. I get it. But Marvel, come on.
Hey mate, they make some good stuff.
Oh, they make some cracker stuff. Like Loki. Do you watch Loki?
I did. Wasn't a big fan of it, eh?
Really? What?
I thought it was like I thought what they set up was good, but the show was just sort of like
a bit lackluster.
Yeah. Compared to WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier.
Oh, Falcon Winter Soldier was just like it was that 6-hour Marvel movie that I've always wanted.
Yeah, sure, 100%. So, what got you into Bankstown? Like, I want to go back to where this all started. You're a PT. PTing for years. How did you get into it?
Geez, that's a loaded question and a half. So where do I start? I grew up in Canada. That's in Bankstown. So Bankstown boy for life, born and bred. Up the doggies, I guess, right?
Sure.
If I don't say it, I get crucified.
You're an honorary doggies fan in my books, bro.
Right? Fan since 04. So the only premiership they've won in like the last 20 years. So that's okay.
Yeah,
That's fine. It still counts. But yeah, grew up there. Went to high school in Pinky Point. If anyone knows where that is, that's like a random area, but grew up there. But yeah, so I actually never actually wanted to become a PT ever. It never crossed my mind. Which sounds weird because like I wish I started sooner, and it's just one of those things that sort of just happened. You know, going all the way back to 2012 when I graduated HSC, and I'm going a long way back, but this is such a good story. I'm not just saying that.
Do it. Love it.
Yeah, here we go. So 2012. So it's my HSC, and you know, everyone in year 12 is like, I want to go to uni. I want to go to do a degree and be super successful, make heaps of money, right? And that's how like that's the system. Like when you get educated in year 12, you're like everyone's telling you to go to uni, go to uni, go to uni. Don't do anything else but go to uni. I'm like, okay, that's what I got to do. One thing they didn't tell us that you had to do really well in HSC. I flopped.
Sort of
Yeah. Yeah, right. So I flopped. I crashed and burned. Did horribly, and it stung a little bit, and I realized that you know what, I can't get to uni. Still wanted to become an engineer though, because that was my main goal. Ended up going to TAFE for 3 years and got certified in structural engineering. So I did an advanced diploma in structural engineering, and I was all set to go to uni, like that dream apparently that I wanted to have. And then from there, I actually started working. I did a trial run in an engineering firm. Found very quickly that I absolutely hated it.
Why?
I hated engineering. I realized that I'm a very hands-on, practical type of person.
Okay.
And engineering and for that field of engineering was a very sit down, look at your laptop, look at your computer for 6 to 8 hours, and then go home. Mm-hmm. And I didn't feel as though I was helping anyone, or I didn't feel accomplished in that sense. There wasn't a sense of like, yeah, I did that. Sure. Or like I'm proud of what I'm doing. And I think the idea of being an engineer, I think that's what kind of confused me. It's like, oh, I want to be an engineer, but I don't realize what it actually entails. And so then when I actually did realize, I'm like, oh, let's take a step back and not do this.
So what led you down that engineering path though? What planted that seed in your head?
Oh, so in high school, I chose all the topics that helped me with engineering. So I did engineering studies, I did like physics, I did like all the maths and stuff. And I've always been obsessed with how things work and why they work the way they do. And I thought engineering was the path for me because it basically was a methodical way of thinking, and that's how I like to think. And so that's why I thought, oh, my personality plus this career equals like dream job and awesome paycheck.
Yeah.
Quickly realized that actually not how I think anymore. Still obsessed with why things work and how they work, but more obsessed with how they make you feel and like why they make you feel like that as well. So that's probably why I'm a trainer as well. Like, I don't know, potatoes, potatoes. But yeah, and then after my engineering flopped and failed, I went down the tradie path. I became a bathroom and kitchen renovator.
Okay.
Yeah, like it went did a complete.
I'm just laughing because you're a completely different guy now to what I can picture you doing back then, man.
Oh, bro, it was funnels all day, every day, steel cap boots, hammer in the back pocket, safety goggles on, looking pretty cool, looking like a lumberjack, but you know.
I love it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good for like the first like few years. I think I did that for about 3 years. But again, I had that like sort of epiphany where I was like, this is not for me. This is not who I am. This is not where I want to be in 5, 6 years. And it's those like realizations that kind of like put life in perspective for you. Yeah. Like, where do you really want to be 10 years from now? Are you going to be proud of yourself knowing that you went down this path 10 years from now? And that's something I had to like jump and juggle.
And how old were you when that sort of came?
Oh, I'm 27 now, so I know I don't look a day over 16. Um, but no, I'm 27 now, so that's 4, 5, I was about 23,
Okay.
23, almost 24, I think. And, at that time, I saw people from high school, A, they've done their like degree at uni, or B, they've started their own business, or C, they're accomplished tradies, or even D, like they have a family and they have like a property. It's like,
Yeah, so it was
but
sort of
well,
like that turning point for you, eh?
yeah, I'm like,
Just
I'm
seeing
here at
where
home,
everyone else was at and just wondering, wow, I don't have it, I
100%.
guess,
And it's
together.
like, yeah, it's like these people have everything together, and then all I'm doing is making money and like kind of like trying to be fulfilled, but I'm not.
Mm.
And it was like that sticking point. I'm like, oh, I gotta do something about this because I've got nothing to my name. And I was like, you just don't feel accomplished. And I know I was only 23 at the time, but I felt like the world was moving on without me, and I had to try and like keep up. Um, but yeah, then I realized that I wanted to go down a different path, and that's when I turned to the Australian Defence Force.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
so
different.
that was 100%. These everything was weird. Everything's just so different.
Listen, I'm with
Uh,
you, bro. I went down that path at one point too, but I wanted to do reserves.
oh,
Yes,
yeah.
I joined up at 16, started the process, and then I got in at. Ooh, I had a lot of complications I had to deal with medically and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I got into Kapuka like to go the training,
No way.
literally like 2 weeks before the car accident,
Oh,
and
you're
that just
joking.
it just stopped everything. So
Oh,
around when I met you, actually, so that's when I got accepted.
everything happens for a reason, type of thing,
One
and
hundred
that's what I've
percent.
come to learn. Um, it's weird because so when I applied for the Australian Defence Force, I was going for a position in the engineering field.
Okay.
So that kind of like, with my background of engineering and my newfound like glory and respect for engineering, like the stars sort of aligned, and the universe was telling me, mate, this is it. This is
Okay.
what you're destined to be.
Yeah.
Like you're 23, 24, and if you get this, you're set up for the rest of your life. It's a government paying job. It's like everything you've ever wanted,
You're
and
serving your
you're
country. It's full
exactly.
on. It's full on. Yeah.
It's really fun, but at the same time, I thought about like that idea when I was 16, 17, 18 can become reality because I'll be an engineer, I'll have a really awesome job, and I'll be really happy, right?
But
Or
in a
happy.
different way. Yeah, just doing
Yeah.
it a different way.
And like I'm helping people. So in that sense, it's like ticking all the boxes. So it really resonated with me. I was like, this is it. This is everything. Now, I applied for the position, and I failed 3 times.
What did you fail on?
um, it's strange because they were all for different things.
Okay.
But the very last time I failed, and I, you know what, I'm proud that I failed because it means I didn't give up.
Yeah, 100%.
Um, although many people argue that you should just quit after the first one.
I
Like,
disagree with that. I failed twice. Both.
mm,
What? No, I failed once. It was medically, but it was a massive fail. They're like, no chance unless you get this thing sorted out.
yeah, right, right. Wow.
Yeah.
For me, it was, I think the first one I was just like overconfident.
Uh huh.
And then I kind of like, what's the word? I just went blank in the interview process because there was an interview process that you had to like answer a few questions on. Mine just went blank and I couldn't answer anything.
How common is
Um,
that interview, by the way?
I know everyone's so like serious, and it's like, well, what's your name? And you're like,
I remember the my interview. I had the psychiatrist interview, like that lady that comes in and is just sort of like questioning your motives.
and
And all that.
it ticks all
Yeah.
the boxes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she said to me, I see you've got a bunch of speeding fines here.
Oh, damn.
I go, yeah, you know, I was dumb. I just stupid mistakes I've learned from him or whatever. And then she went on to talk to me about how a bad citizen I was and how, yeah, like she was trying to get me to crack and sort of like yell at her because
No way.
she went on, bro. Like she was like, you're a disgrace. How can you not adhere to the road rules and expect to adhere to the rules in the army and this and
So it's
that?
like reverse psychology.
Sort of, but I just sat there just biting my tongue like it
I
was
want to
full on.
clock you.
It was full on, man.
Oh yeah, that actually that freaked me out a lot. But what freaked me out the most was the waiting. You're in the room waiting with everyone else, and they're all going in one at a time.
3-4 hours.
And yeah, and one of them, they come out one at a time, and they're either like completely destroyed or they're over the moon, right? And the amount of time I saw like the guys and girls, yeah, I'm like, oh god, you look like you've just got run over by a truck. How am I gonna go? Oh no. So it just freaked me out.
So, random question for you with it.
Yeah.
How did you dress going to that interview?
I had to suit up. You had to suit
Okay.
up, right?
All right,
You
I
had to.
suited up too. Mate,
Yeah.
I had about 6 guys in my interview process that were in like shorts and a t-shirt.
Yes, no. Maybe we're the same dude. Maybe that was the same guy.
I'm just sitting there like, what is going on? Like, am I overdressed?
He had thongs on, board shorts, and a singlet, and like a trucker hat.
Exactly. I'm like,
Maybe it was the same guy. The same guy.
bro, we could have been there the same day.
Yeah, he's been trying all these years. I reckon he's still there.
Full on, bro. I was a trip out.
Oh, and you know what? They even tell you in the emails that you should dress up, right?
Correct.
And they tell you like you should dress to impress, essentially, because
Dress for
it's an actual interview.
Yeah.
But I think these guys thought, oh, it's just training, so I'll just dress like I'm going to beach Arthur, so I might as well just dress it like this. Yeah. But yeah, so back onto the Air Force. Failed 3 times, which was fantastic. Great for the ego, great for the mindset. Always going back home to mum and dad, like, mum, dad, didn't pass. I'm going to try again. The last time was actually because of my fitness.
Okay.
Which is really strange because I passed the first 2 times and the fitness was fine. But it's the last time that was like, they were like, nah, so I was just a bit under. Like, it was the beep test. And if anyone's done the beep test, it's horrid.
I love the beep test, bro.
What's wrong with you? I'm a trainer, and hearing that offends me.
I actually want to do it again to see what score I could get now.
Oh, I would not wish that on my worst enemy.
When I was in school, the highest I got was 12.1.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty good effort.
Only because I'm mentally like fried and I don't like seeing other people get ahead of me.
Well, you're really competitive in that sense.
Yeah, fully.
Yeah. See, for me, I'm like, you know what? I'll just hit bare minimum and see how I go. And then as I was doing, I think bare minimum was like maybe 7. I can't remember.
It's 7.5, yeah.
Yeah. And then as I was going for the minimum, I was like, oh, I hit 7, so I just stopped. I'm like,
oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I got 7 in my head. That's all I need to go. But it's actually like 7.5 or something. And then I'm like walking off. I'm kind of gasped, but kind of puffed, but not really. I'm like, I'm going for a bit more, but it's too late because the moment you walk off, that's it.
Yeah, they can't. They're very strict.
Yeah, push-ups are fine, sit-ups are fine, everything else is amazing, and then it's just that bloody beep test. If they took, yeah, if if they took that out of the test, I would be there right now. I would be in the Air Force. But yeah, so the fitness was my only issue with the 3rd trial, right? So I started training again and training even harder, like every day, once a day. And slowly but surely, my mate started training with me at the park. And we just started having this group session going on. We can't have that at the moment for lockdown, but back in the day, yeah, we had group sessions and we just working our cardio and our fitness. And my best friend suggested, why don't I just get qualified as a personal trainer if I like it so much? And I'm like, oh, but I want to go to the Air Force. What would I do that for? And he's like, oh, just have it in your back pocket. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Now the process, now you probably agree with me, the process for the Defense Force takes about 6 months.
Yeah.
Roughly. So you have all the tests and they have to deliberate and then they give you your offer at the end of it. Yeah.
And after you get that offer, it's another like 6 months. So you're blocking out a good part of your life.
Exactly. Waiting on a yes or no.
Yes.
And it's insane because it was really messing with me like mentally. And like my mental health was like all over the shop. I'm like, is it yes? Is it no? I'm working so hard for this like acceptance, but it's like, what do I do if I don't get it? Type of thing.
Yeah.
So it really messes with you. So then my best friend was like, yeah, just become a personal trainer and then see what happens. So at least that's your backup. So the personal training course also went for 6 months. So as I went for my application for the Air Force, it started at the same time as I went for my fitness degree. So it was both 6 months. So it was amazing. So by the time I finished my certificate in fitness, I would hopefully be in the Air Force.
It's
right?
two birds, one stone.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't go wrong. So my priority was always Air Force and then fitness, right?
Yep.
And then as I started to learn more about the health industry and the fitness industry, I fell in love with the fact that I could interact with these people and change their lives for the better. It was hands-on, which is what I like. Very practical, amazing. It made me problem solve on the spot, which is awesome. Use my brain, and it felt really rewarding at the same time.
Yeah.
It never felt like a career. It just felt like a passion I could project on other people. And that's something in my 6 years out of high school that I've never felt. And so I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of weird. So we're just going through the motions, applied for everything. I passed the fitness test for the Air Force. I was just waiting on the acceptance letter, on the offer. So the thing is, I remember this date very vividly because it sticks with you. If I get a tattoo of this date on me, you know why. All right. If that's how important it is to me, and it will never be erased in my memory. September 13th, 2018. All right. If you want to get a tattooed on you, bro, you do it. Yeah,
Definitely not,
fine.
mate. Definitely
Yeah,
not. That's not
just
my
across the chest, or like on the forearm, like all those thanks numbers.
You could not get more cliche with a tattoo right there, mate. Right.
100%. Just chest, yeah. But make sure it's backwards so in the mirror you can see it.
Cool. Make sure it's spelt right too.
Can't go wrong with numbers, right? Yeah, it will look pretty cool, I reckon. Yeah, just not too high, all right? Because that looks weird. Just right there. Yeah. I'll make it really small so you can't have to look really into my chest. Yeah. So September 2018, and it was the day of my graduation for fitness. So my certificate, so 4, 3, and 4. Fate has a really cruel sense of humor sometimes.
Okay.
It rarely ever works the way you want it to work. Sure. I don't know if it's fate or destiny or the universe or something. Well,
you know me, bro, and I love the fact that you and I can talk about this so openly. I think it's God. I believe it's God. So I know it's God.
It's something out there that's like just wants to play a practical joke on me to see how I react. On the way to my graduation, I get a phone call from the Defense Force. I'm like, oh, sweet, awesome. And I haven't thought about the Defense Force for months because they took months to process me. So I'm like, I'm so knee deep in my fitness career that I'm like just focused on fitness. And this is the weird thing. This was Air Force and this was fitness when I first started. Now it's fitness and Air Force at the same level.
Okay.
And I couldn't believe it at that stage. So they call me up. I'm like, oh, how's it going? They're like, oh, just wanted to congratulate you. We're about to send you your letter of offer to come train at Wagga Wagga starting next month. I'm like, what? And like, after all this time, I finally got it. I finally got accepted into this career that's been in the works for like the last 2 or 3 years, 2 years. This career that felt so right and just so right in the moment for me versus this new career that gave me so much, that's giving me so much joy. And then she goes on to say, we just need to make sure that you still want this. Can you just confirm with us? There and then I had to decide, right? Again, fate is stupid. I hate it. I had to decide on that spot, in that phone call, on the way to my graduation to become a personal trainer, if I wanted to chase this career in the Air Force, become an engineer, or stick with my personal training. It,
That's hard, bro.
how do you choose? How do you choose between a career path that you chose that when you thought it was going to be your life, engineering is going to be your life, and then this newfound glory for something else? How do you choose between your passion and your future?
Well, then let me ask you, how do you?
And
Let's say that. So your mind process through that time period has got to be freaking out because you've got literally 10 seconds to make a life-altering decision.
yeah,
What goes through your head to make the decision you made?
honestly, I thought about all the lives I affected in my PT career at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone who I talked to and everyone who I could help and I had helped at that time. And it was a no-brainer. I told her straight away, without even thinking about it, I was like, I'm so sorry.
Wow.
I can't continue. Something's come up and I want to pursue this instead. And she's like, no worries, that's okay. Thank you for your time. And she was very like, positive about it as you are with rejection. And then, yeah, and then hung up the phone, walked into my class and graduated as a PT, and I haven't looked back.
Far out. And that's 4 years now?
Yeah, this is my third year of PT, I think, or fourth year, almost four.
Uh-huh. Wow. That's full on, bro. It really
Yeah,
is. Trying to make a call like that. Um, Again, I just want to go back to that thought process and that mindset because whenever I make a decision, I've told you this before. Whenever I make a decision, I pray and I ask God, what am I doing? And before I get to that point where I have to make the decision, I'm praying for months prior. I guess that's what it is being a Christian is that we have that we put our trust in God
of
and
course.
know that He's the one that's leading our direction.
Yeah.
How do you find that direction for yourself, and what goes through your mind to get to a decision like that?
I just, again, I remember thinking in that moment, that brief, you know, when you've had this experience, but you kind of like you see your life flash before you,
Yeah.
and you see what you've done, who you are, and where you want to be, all kind of happen within the span of like 2 seconds. And I had that moment. I was on the train and I was on the
Really?
phone, and it was like I never thought about being a trainer, but the thought of being a trainer at that point, in 2 hours from then, that phone call, it felt right. And I don't think there was ever a point after high school that I could say that that decision felt right.
You just had
Or
direction.
yeah, and I just after high, well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but most people after high school have no direction,
No, not at all.
and
I
it
I always say
yeah,
it's about 5%. It's that 5% that want to be a teacher, lawyer, doctor,
100%.
those guys.
100%. And it's the vast majority of us, that 95%, who are like, I just want a job to make money and I just want a house type of thing. And I want a family and all that stuff. But then that's also at that point, it's once you make these choices, you're kind of locked in for life. And it's if you start a family young or have a property when you're young or have this job when you're young, you have to sort of accept that that's going to be the next 10 years
Yeah,
or the
pretty much.
next 15 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not to say that you can't have a passion or you can't have a side hustle. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's probably harder for you to
You're
create
just
that side
saying that
hustle.
once you do make a decision like that, there's so many other factors and responsibilities that you have to
Exactly,
consider.
100%.
Yeah.
And then you could be disappointed with where you are,
Mm.
or you could be always, what's the word? Always looking for the like the greener grass.
Yeah, you're always thinking, what if? What if I did that?
Yeah. And so like you would live your life in regret knowing that you could have had more, um, but not accepting that what you have is amazing.
Mm.
And so I think that's where I was at, floating around. And after high school, I was like, oh man, they've got a brand new car, they've got an apartment, they've got this kid, they've got a new dog, like they've got everything, and I don't even know where I want to be.
Mm.
And so it's like I kept trying to like pulling at straws and trying to like figure out, oh, this will make me happy, that'll make me happy, but it was like fake happy.
Sure.
It was like this, I don't know, it was more so,
It was trying to fill a void that you didn't know how to fill.
yes, that's exactly right. And then in that moment on that phone call, when I thought about PT in that 2 seconds of like where I want to be in the future, that I didn't see regret. I never saw it. I didn't see myself regretting making that choice.
Okay.
And that's what sparked it. It was, I think it was, if I didn't go through all that the entire period of me being lost, I wouldn't appreciate where I am.
100%. And I truly believe that God does that in people's lives. He gives you experiences that other people aren't going to have,
100%.
to specifically teach you something. You know what I mean? Not everyone's going to go through the 4 years of school to actually finding the career. Some people know straight away, I'm just going to go be an electrician. That's what I want
Yeah,
to do. I
yeah.
love it. But for some others, it takes a while. And God does
Thanks.
that
Yeah,
to teach us something. I guarantee if you could take it back there, you probably would still go through all that just to learn the
100%.
patience, learn the rejection, learn what it
Yeah,
meant to try and try again. Um, because that's a big thing in the PT world is failing. You have to fail.
100%.
Um, even as the trainee, like you being the PT, me training, I've got to fail that rep.
110%.
So next
That
time when I come for it, I'm gonna be doing everything I can to hit it.
I always get asked like, if you were to go back in time and change something,
Mm,
like back in like before I chose to become an engineer, back in high school, back in like all of that, like 2011, 2012, would you tell yourself go become a PT? And I always tell them no. If I had a chance to go back in time to talk to myself, I wouldn't.
what would you say?
Because, well, if I had to, if I was forced to go back in time, um, also back in time, we got to have a talk with your mate, Stat, Back to the Future.
Bro, you're telling me. You're
I
telling me.
I oh
I saw the back and forth between you two on Instagram, and I was just sitting
I
there
was
with a kid with popcorn,
with
bro.
popcorn. Yeah, yeah.
I was loving it.
I was the bigger man. I let it go first. All right. I gave it to him. I gave it to him. But we've got some things to discuss. I can't wait to meet the
Bro,
big fella.
I'm with you, bro. I've got a Back to the Future poster right here, so I'm with you 100%.
Oh mate, I see the Star Wars poster. That's
Yeah, right
sick.
there, bro.
Oh, so jealous. Last Hope.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Whew,
New
let's
Hope, bro.
go.
It's the
New
way to
Hope.
go.
Oh, so good. I love that
Yeah,
movie.
so if you could go back and
If
talk to yourself, what would the message be? What would you be saying to him?
I would tell myself, I, I would honestly just say, you need to choose what you want to do. Don't listen. Yeah,
Drive that in.
yeah. Don't sit there and listen to people saying, I want to go to uni, I want to be this, I want to be that. Because then that kind of like that plants a seed in your head saying that,
Mm,
oh, and the only way to be successful is to follow everyone else.
yeah,
The only way to be happy is to do what they're doing. And like, I guess in a way that if you end up following everyone else's plans, then where is there room for you to be happy?
yeah, 100%. Well, then let me ask you, I dead set didn't think we were going to go down this pathway when we started this thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But what do you think brings happiness? What is it in a person's life that they need to be happy?
I would say purpose. I I know that the word purpose is very broad and general.
Vague.
Yeah, essentially it's super vague because it's so subjective. Um, but if you're able to find some sort of purpose in, say, what is your purpose in your family life, in your friendship circles, in your relationships, in your work life, then that kind of comes together and creates your purpose for your own life.
Mm,
And so if you know where you stand with each of those topics or those aspects of life, then I think you would feel fulfilled, and I think you would feel as if you are accomplishing things. So you don't need to be the richest guy in the world. You don't need to be the smartest person in the world. But if you feel fulfilled with your purpose, then I guess essentially you're happy.
That it's a very interesting perspective, bro, because it's completely different to what I think. And I,
Yeah.
I love that you've sort of worded that so properly, because I think that's how a lot of people end up moving their lives, is they're trying to find that purpose. And I think
Yeah.
a life without purpose is a life wasted, for
100%,
sure.
bro.
100%.
I'm more than just a pretty face. Yeah.
Bao gets deep, bro. We're getting deep.
100%. Here we go.
But from what I believe and how I've seen life, and through reading the Bible and just growing up as a Christian, I found that purpose can still leave a void, because sometimes we find a purpose that lasts 5 years, or
Yeah.
we find a purpose that won't last forever. I
Mm-hmm.
think that void you were talking about, trying to fill it with something, I think we all attempt to do that at some point.
Oh,
we,
100%.
we all try to do it with either a job, a relationship, things,
Like a hobby. Yeah.
hobbies. Like, everyone's trying to fill that void, but then I think there comes a point in a person's life where they look back at the 5 years, they look back at the 10 years, or they even look back at that day when their head's on their pillow and they realize that void is still not filled.
Mm.
I mean, there's that famous saying about the richest man on earth 20 years ago said, they asked him, they go, "Are you happy?"
Yeah.
He goes, "No." They go, "What will it take to be happy?" He goes, "I just need that little bit more."
Yeah.
And it's interesting to note that, because I personally believe the one thing that does fill that void is the salvation of Jesus Christ.
Mm.
I think that every single one of us is looking for a relationship that lasts forever. And I think that that relationship is a relationship with Jesus Christ. You not being a Christian and you looking at life another way, what are your thoughts on that, seeing that from a Christian's perspective?
I will always respect anyone who who's so knee deep in their religion. I think we all need something to, I guess, look towards or have faith in. And I think, coming from my perspective, I'm a bit, what's the word? I like to, again, I'm very practical, so
Yeah.
I'm very hard on myself at the same time. So my ideology has always been, like, our potential is always limited by what we believe in ourselves.
Okay.
So in that sense, your faith in yourself will limit your potential to how far you can go in life.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's my perspective on how I approach my life. It's, the more you believe in yourself, the more faith you have in yourself, the more you can execute things that you never knew you could. So, like, for example, like, the faith you have in yourself to start these podcasts and to start these talks and have these chats with people could only ever start with your own faith in yourself. And so your potential is going to skyrocket because you have all of this support and you have all of this self-belief. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then so that goes the same with anyone who I train. It's self-belief will always create a higher ceiling for your potential. So my business, or I don't know if anyone knows this, but my business is called BDL Fitness, or the BDL stands for Breaking Down Limits. And I want to be breaking down limits not just in fitness but in life, because I strongly believe that fitness only encapsulates maybe 30% of your life. The other 70% is up for grabs. It's literally in anyone's hands, but by understanding that breaking down your own limits, that 70% then becomes accountable for you. You then, all that pressure is, all that potential is now in your own hands. So I try and train people to take control of their life, because no one else should ever have the lead. And so, in saying that, how I break down limits and how I do that is, I want to teach clients and teach people in general that your purpose is directly derived from how much you believe in yourself.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a very cool way of looking at it. It's interesting for sure, and it's why I find it so interesting is because it's so different.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so different. Like I always tell people this. Anytime I tell someone like I've hung out with you, I say I've never met a person who's so um, respectfully disagreeing with me. You know what
Oh
I'm
wow,
saying?
yeah.
Like you and I have two completely different life views,
100%.
and I remember that conversation we had at the cafe that morning. We disagreed for an hour and a half,
Yeah.
and then the other
Oh,
half hour we're talking about stuff we agreed with. But for an hour and
yeah.
a half, we disagreed. But at the end of it, we'll just sort of like that's just how we both see things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which is I think it's like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
one opinion can't exist without the other,
Hmm.
but also like you also need to understand the other side of the coin.
That's right.
If you're stuck in your own little bubble, then you'll never accept things for the way they are. You
Yeah,
want to.
that fishbowl sort of lifestyle isn't.
Yeah,
For me.
exactly.
So you brought up BDL, and I wanted to
Yeah.
talk about this because BDL's always interested me. I'm a client of BDL. I'm a fan of BDL.
Let's
Talk to me
go.
about BDL, bro. How did that come to be? What was the idea? How do you
Oh,
live with it?
dude, what started it? So I created BDL Fitness during my 6 months becoming a trainer,
Hmm.
and the idea actually sparked up when I was washing the dishes with my sister in
Okay.
after dinner. And I was like, "What's a good name for like a business?" And she's like, "Why don't you just use your name?" I'm like, "I can't really call it BDL Fitness because that sounds really cliche and really, that doesn't sound any good." Um,
And no offense, but you block out a whole market.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, so imagine if I used my name, that would have been, oh, that would have been stupid. So she's like, why don't you do one better? Use your initials. So my initials is actually BDL. So my full name is Bao Din Lee.
Okay.
And so she's like, why don't you just make an acronym? I'm like, all right. So then I was brainstorming and trying to like come up with a few things. And I was like, oh, so nothing came to my head. And then as I was washing the dishes with her, I just said out loud, breaking down limits. And then she looked at me. I'm like, we're both like,
That's
that
pretty good.
it kind of works.
That works out.
It kind of works. So then, yeah, then I sat down with my other sister who helped me design the logo. So it's an arrow facing down in the form of a triangle. But it's hard to tell, but once you break down that symbol again, it's actually BDL put together.
Okay.
So I'll send you the video so you can have a look at it.
100%.
But
We'll chuck that up on you guys as well.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, so essentially without the BDL, you're looking at BDL.
Okay.
With the BDL, you're just basically looking at it twice.
That's awesome.
But with an arrow pointing down, it's just emphasis on that breaking down limits part. But yeah, so it's my initials, but also a way of life. So it's everyone's walking around with Bao Din Lee, but it's also breaking down limits.
So where's BDL currently based? Where are you currently working? Like we just
Oh,
said, you're no longer at UFC Bankstown.
yeah.
Where are you at now?
Yeah, so after UFC Bankstown, I ventured to Marrickville, which is like the opposite end of Bankstown. It's like a good 20 minutes away. And I actually ended up at a place called Fitness Playground. I was there for about a year until I decided to leave and try and like grow and develop. And then I found a gym called U Personal Training, UPT for short, which kind of rolls off the tongue like BDL. So like BDL at UPT, just kind of rolls. I think again that was a big sign from the big man upstairs.
You
like,
love your
this is
acronyms, eh?
it is, yeah, it was, yeah. So I'm with a gym called U Personal Training, based in Marrickville. We're currently working outdoors at parks, like because every other trainer at the moment has to work outdoors. But we have a little private personal training studio type of thing. It's pretty massive. Once lockdown's over, you're coming over, you're having a look at it. We'll do another one of these. We'll talk about more how we disagree on things.
I love
But yes, I'm with you personally at the moment, and I think for the first time in a long time, it feels right.
Hmm.
It Everyone here has that same mindset that I like to project on my clients. It's I like to break down the limits, not just in fitness but in life, and
Yeah.
by doing that, I focus solely on the client.
Yeah.
And you personal training is all about you. And so we as trainers, we spend every waking moment we can to try and find the best version of you without sounding too much of a cliche. But I think the fact that we're so focused on you and trying to make the perfect version of you, I think that resonates with a lot of people because it's with too many commercial gyms out there, you feel as though you're a number,
Yeah.
or you feel as though you're just another person paying to use a dumbbell or paying to swipe your card to get in or whatnot. Or you're basically paying $30, so $30 a week to look in the mirror and then walk back out. you know,
Or not even
where,
do that, just sit at home with the tag on your keyring.
yeah, 100%. Shout out to Anytime Fitness. But yeah, so your personal training is just basically about the client and trying to find the best version of themselves. We do it once, we do it right, and you don't have to do it again.
Mm.
And that's our entire ideology. So that's why it resonates with me a lot. Because it's again, if you want to change your life for the better, change it once, do it right, don't ever do it again.
So that's what interests me about the whole PT world. Okay, is
Yeah.
that you guys all pretty much, a lot of you, not all of you, a lot of you have the same sort of philosophy: is let's build up people, let's make them the best versions of themselves they can
Yep.
be. But in saying that, I'm always very weary when someone says to me, "Hey, what do you think about me becoming a PT?"
Yeah.
Because it's a very different sort of industry. It's a very different lifestyle.
Yeah.
Agree or disagree with me? It's very different in that the PT really has to put in the work. Like, if you want to be a successful PT, you need to put in the work. I see it time and time again. PTs go on for about 5 to 10 years, and then they find a different career path and they go down that.
Yeah.
What does a person need if they want to become a PT to stick with it and be that as their career for the long haul? What do they need in their mindset, their personal life, their work ethic? What is it?
I think, well, it's tough because everyone has a different idea of what a PT is.
Yep.
Your PT is either like you have the PTs who are best friends with their clients, you have PTs who are really strict with their clients, you have PTs who just don't care about their clients. But then you also have PTs who, you know, do their job and that's it. There's nothing outside of their job. PT for me has always been a 24/7 job. And I think if anyone who wants to get into the industry, I think you need to realize that it's a 24/7 job. It demands a lot. And a lot of people who go into PT or the fitness industry, they are trying to escape that 9 to 5 job because they don't like that anymore. They don't want that. But then they don't realize that that 9 to 5 job you're giving up is for a 24/7 job.
Okay.
So it's like they don't really put that into their decision making because they don't know. And so I think before you even attempt to become a trainer, I think you should probably again do your homework. Ask your trainers around you, see what they feel, see how they started, and what hurdles they had to go over to get where they are. Obviously, I would love to see more trainers in the industry. The industry is like saturated with trainers for the first like few months. So, but then the drop-off rate is really high.
Yeah.
And that comes down to what you mentioned before. It's people don't understand the accountability, or people don't understand the behind the scenes, or like how much work you have to do outside of your session.
Yeah, that's right.
You could train with the trainer for an hour, but you don't realize that they've done 3 hours of programming for you, but you're only paying for the hour. Or they've done 6 months worth of work for you, but they only get paid for a fraction of it. And coming into the industry, a lot of trainers will leave because they don't understand that there are hours that you don't get paid for, or there are hours that you just don't get accredited for. And that's something that turns a lot of trainers off, actually, from my experience.
So hard work, man. It really is. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of background work.
It's a lot of admin work, and it's sort of like setting up your systems. But it's also like
it's a lot like teaching.
Yeah, that's actually.
You put in a lot of prep, and then 40 minutes of teaching.
Yeah, and then like going back to like I guess I am a teacher. I'm not really a school teacher, but sometimes I'm type of teacher. But sometimes like a session doesn't go according to plan.
Yeah.
Sometimes like for example, like a client might injure themselves in the program, right?
Like break a leg on Everest or something like that.
Yeah, I heard about someone like that, eh? Well, I hope that bloke's okay.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. But yeah, so things don't go according to plan, and that kind of put a spanner in the works. And then as a trainer, you're like, oh man, now I'm like, we missed that session, and then everything's kind of like falling apart. And then I think it takes a good trainer to understand that things happen and you can't account for maybe 20% of what's going to happen, but you can do your best with the 80% that you have to have plans in place to make sure things can still stay on track for that client.
Yeah, bro.
So like if that person who broke their leg, so now with the program being hindered, you can then change it into a more of a rehab program and then come back to the strength program.
Yeah.
And so then that's what happens a lot. And a lot of people who come to the industry, they don't know how to deal with, just unexpected events. And then it kind of like freaks them out. Yeah.
Well, mate, I could honestly talk to you for another hour. Believe it or not, we've gone for an hour.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, bro. This was a great session, great chat.
Amazing.
Ladies and gents, make sure you find Bao online. Bao, how can they find you? Where are you? What's going on?
Instagram, BDL Fitness. Or if you want to add me as a friend on Facebook, because I could use more friends because I'm lonely. No. Bao Lee, or find my BDL Fitness page on Facebook as well. But yeah, I'll be on there. Give me a follow. I'll follow you back if I want to. No, I won't.
I'm gonna hold you to that. Guys, also check out You Personal
Training. Yeah.
Mate, Bao's shown me some stuff. They are awesome. I'm very excited to come check you guys out once lockdown finishes. And really quickly before we go, bro, what's your one piece of advice training wise for people in lockdown right now?
Oh, piece of training advice. It's gotta be, it has to be hands down. Don't just sit down all day. Start moving. It's okay to go out for a walk here and there. Maybe go for 2 walks a day. But you need to keep moving, not just physically, but mentally. Because right now, if you're sitting down, you're not mentally stimulated.
Yeah.
So you need to switch on, stay switched on, do a puzzle, read a book, challenge yourself mentally, and then your body will just adapt to it.
So you heard it, ladies and gents. Put down that chocolate bar and go outside for a walk. Bao,
or bring the bar with you.
Yeah, even better. That's the type of PT I like. Bao, thank you again so much for doing this.
That's
ladies
right,
and gents, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It helps
Yes.
us out so much. Like the video if you want to see more of this. Let us know who you want us to interview. Bao, make sure you follow him. Thanks for talking to me, my man.
That's all right, mate. I'll catch you later.